So that was crazy. I just talked for 40 minutes. I was like so excited, showing off my ad and everything. Thankfully, we didn't get too far into the study, but good Lord, now I've got to go over the ad again, and I've already like used up all my excitement. So, oh well. Looks like it kept some of our settings. I'll probably just put that last video on. No, I'll leave it just for visuals. Good Lord. I just got excited for 40 minutes by myself. I mean, to be fair, I was seeing that there were zero viewers on the screen, so I'm still like, yeah, that's cool. People will be watching it later. Yeah, the microphone is definitely not muted. But I forgot to load the... All right, I really need to make audio check a part of the stream then. So, broken audio check. Stream. All right, audio check. So, all right. Check. Check. Sounds good. All right. So, welcome. We're going to go to my Sora page real quick. Well, no, I'm going to go to my Twitter page real quick. Man, I got so excited about this prompt and described it and everything. Like, So, this morning, in under 20 minutes, I had Grok come up with this illustration. I was just thinking, excuse me, sir, would you like some help with your socials? You know, and it came up with a pretty good rendition. I'm not going to give the original prompt I used to create this guy. And it also created another asset that I'm going to use, which I actually just asked it for app icon, but it gave me an app icon that's a different guy. So it's not one character, but Hogumathi. I feel like this guy's named Hogumathi. That's not even the worst. It's a me, a Hogumathi. Right? He's got the olive shirt on and everything. Yeah, I went over the theory of how I describe of the way that I prompted this stuff and everything too. Maybe I'll save that for another video. I'll just call that a teaser. That'll be a Patreon benefit, $100 a month, and you'll get access to that kind of prompt breakdown. Although, and other things, because it'll probably only be useful to do that one once. Because I already did it on this 40-minute lost stream, and yeah, if I'm going to do it again, it's going to be a reward for the big money helpers, the people who got good cash flow and want this kind of technique to make their cash flow even better. So the difference between a gamble and an investment is what? If you're a trader, you know. Probably. I'm not a trader and I know, but I learned it from a trader. Well, a trader, a person in the trading domain, I should say. I have no idea who I learned it from. But specifically a crypto person. And it was that the difference between a... No, you know, I think they just prompted me to look it up on my own, and I searched it. Studying is cool in the age of AI. So the difference between an investment and a gamble is that a investment has an expected positive return. So how could we even know that for crypto? I'm not trying to start a fight. If that triggers you, you know, work on your self-regulation. But yeah, open question. And I would actually like a non-emotional answer after at least 24 hours of cooling down. But I can just study it. It's no problem. I'll probably listen to this later and be like, oh yeah. But anyway, so when you're giving money to Hogumathi, the hobo, who's making all his own apps and stuff, who made his commercial within under 20 minutes of posting this picture, we had a whole advertisement, 10 seconds. Copy is okay. We could air it. It absolutely nailed details. And man, I want to go into the prompt again, but I want to get straight into what I say we're going to do in the title. All right. So the AI came up with this copy. I described what I wanted, and it came up with the copy, which was awesome. Let's watch it. Just a guy with a bag. No investors, no team. So he built his own tools, logged every scam, every fake, kept coding, kept posting, and now people are rooting for him. Hogumathi, and a link to the product page. So it came up with that copy, and then I typed it into the tweet. How great is that? Hogumathi. So notice he's not a young guy. He's stubbled, and he's got, you know, probably sleeping in the cold or a little bit of sunburn on his cheeks. Maybe just shaved his beard off.
Just a guy with a bag. No investors, no team. So he built his own tools, logged every scam, every fake, kept coding, kept posting, and now people are rooting for him. Hogumathi. Just a guy with a bag. No investors, no team. So he built his own tools, logged every scam, every fake, kept coding, kept posting, and now people are rooting for him. Hogumathi. Just a guy with a bag. No investors, no team. So he built his own tools, logged every scam, every fake, kept coding, kept posting, and now people are rooting for him. Hogumathi. Just a guy with a bag. No investors, no team. So he built his own tools, logged every scam, every fake, kept coding, kept posting, and now people are rooting for him. Hogumathi. Just a guy with a bag. No investor.
So one last thing I will do on the stream though real quick is just post the link to that. Where'd it go? So it's on Sora. There is the prompt here. I'll put it on the screen. Just pause it. I'm not going to leave it long. All right. I don't think you need an OpenAI account to access this. You do need one to access the profile page. But yeah, there it is. All right, so much quicker to the point on this one. We'll go straight into the embed, and yeah. So for years I've been thinking about integrating, I made a whole spiel about how Wagtail is a good platform to invest in, or did I do that on this stream? That's what happens sometimes when you do two streams. No, 10 minutes in. No, so I went on a whole spiel about how Wagtail, it's built on Django, it's built on Python. I've got a tech radar page. Right on the front page, Tech Radar, read more. We've got a page for Wagtail, CMS, and Django, as well as some other stuff. Clojure, Inkscape, messaging platforms, Flask. So this is, other companies have their tech radars. This is the stuff we like. So Wagtail is a content management system based on Django and Python. The CodeRed CMS/CRX extensions add marketing website-oriented functionality, and then Rent-Free Media builds further functionality related to management of a podcast/digital assets and subscriptions via Stripe. So we could even go further, and I've done just straight up merchant integrations. No, not straight merchant integrations, but other access to merchant integrations as well. We could also add different crypto providers to Rent-Free Media. So I'm not using this firsthand myself, but it's just there to say it is part of the ecosystem. I am using CodeRed CRX. That's what we're looking at now. It's good for marketing teams, business and nonprofits, and web developers. And it's got, different kinds of components and stuff. I was just starting to describe this when I realized that my audio wasn't going out. But so basically, Wagtail is a content management system. This adds on top of Wagtail some visual stuff, Google Analytics, search engine optimization. Additionally, it is open source. It's based on Bootstrap 4, which is actually pretty nice. 5 is out. There's available out there a Bootstrap 5 version. So yeah, I haven't looked at the page cache too much. I think it's Redis based, but I don't know for sure. So yeah, I think this is a good investment. This was posted July of 2024. I first started using this stuff like 2023. I mean, towards the end of, Hogumathi was good. I started making the content system. I started looking for a CMS I could integrate it with cleanly, and this one ended up being good. And then just today, I was looking at the embedded content stuff, and I wasn't even looking for it, but I noticed right here and right here, like, this is starting to look a little bit like Hogumathi actually. And so over in Hogumathi, we've got a bunch of different extensions that have their own content sources in each one for many of them. Some of them just have one file and they register their own content sources. So I'm not sure what the deal with the syntax is here, but so I was thinking, we use this find spec stuff in the top level when we load it. So find spec, theme Bootstrap 5, find spec, Twitter V2 facade. So right here, we get the module imported. We say Twitter is enabled. And then further down, we actually register all the content sources if just using that enabled flag. So boom, a whole bunch of stuff. No, sorry, register blueprints. So that's kind of the pattern that I mirrored, is register blueprint. So a bunch of them have their own blueprints. I put, I mount them in Node.js speak, I mount them. Or React, I guess front end, maybe Angular, I mount the routes. You know what I mean? I don't know, I've just heard that before, so I'm just saying it another way. But all right, now we're in register content sources. So I'm manually stitching this stuff up, kind of knowing at some point in the future I'm going to come up with some abstraction. But for now, I'm just making back end after back end. Boom, boom, boom. Find the pattern, find the pattern. You know what I mean? Maybe if there's a major pattern that shakes itself out, I'll go back and update a bunch of stuff. Like finally I got to the content system pattern. And it's fragile to say the least. But I keep on trying to redesign it better, and I keep on finding out, man, this thing is good. But then even on this page, I find a note, like something I've been thinking about with, I've got a weighted based approach. And so if two things match the same content, then I actually fall back to the next one. But I was thinking, like, the use case for that is gradual degradation. You might have a cache source that's going to be cold every time, the first time you hit it. So then you'll have a live API source, and then you'll hit it, you get the response back, you put it in the cache with that ID, and then next time you go for that content, you go to the first wait, the cache source, now it's there, it's warmed up, so you don't have to make the live request anymore. You put some time to live on that, TTL, and then after a half an hour, 5 minutes, whatever, you go to fetch it, the cache is stale, it's like, nope, you fetch it from live, you put it back in cache, boom. All right, now you're out in the desert, you don't have cell service, you go, it's not in the cache, maybe you've got an offline mode that keeps the cache from evicting, cool, you've got it. Maybe you don't, so go to live source times out, or you know, after however long it knows it's not online. Boom, so you go to the archive source, your last data export. It's got a really old version of view metrics and everything on it, but cool, you've got it. So my content system does that. So that's why it's kind of, you know, like it works. It works. And once you know it, it's okay to work with, but it's not great. Needs a DSL or something, you know. But that's not what I'm trying to do right now. So I feel like offloading, you know, outsourcing that to a content management system is the next logical step. So what content management system works real good for that? Wagtail is good across, you know, it's checking off all the boxes. And then I find this embeds. Because I was going to make a block, but embeds is a block. And so if I can just shimmy my stuff into the way their stuff already works, then why not? Save a ton of work. Work smarter, not harder. You know, this is like this is natural intelligence. Pre-AI. You'd read everything because you know, okay, it takes 2 hours to read it. How long does it take to go down the wrong path? Way longer than 2 hours. So you've got long-term thinking. All right, cool. We'll read this for 2 hours. If you're wondering how long we're going to drag this on, yeah, it takes a while to study. Stay in the library till 3 in the morning. Doesn't matter. The next day, you're going to rock it. So, Wagtail Embed Finders. That's analogous to register content sources. So, I haven't looked at their code, but I know somewhere in their code, we're going to be scanning all the loaded modules because I already know we can do that from my days working with find spec related stuff, studying that documentation. So we can look at all the loaded modules. For every one, we see, hey, does it have something exported named Wagtail Embed Finders? Yeah, it does. Cool. So it's just like HTTP slash dot well known slash whatever for activity pub type stuff. Webfinger, you know, well known slash webfinger. So module slash, and I'm pretty sure I've seen this kind of pattern before for loading dynamic type stuff. So this applies a little bit more generally in Hogumathi to the whole of the module because there's kind of multiple things that each one can do. Remember, there was the blueprints for Flask, and then there's the content sources. It started off being that like the social source was exported that way. But that's no longer the case. So yeah, zero concurrence. What's up? So yeah, resolve content source for a content ID. You know, it's just very basic. We go through the list of sources, and then we do some wild stuff to figure out the content ID. So the way this is set up is the prefix and then the pattern, and I don't like this too much. So this would be better, probably just doing ID pattern with the whole ID, just boom, that's the match. So I've been thinking about this, or switching to URL has been something I've been thinking about too. Yeah, I've tried to replace it, but it just works, and you know. So the first thing to do is just get even a lot more test cases around everything else that uses the content sources. And then around the content source stuff itself, and then start messing with stuff when I know that if it breaks, I'll know right away, as opposed to, you know, having to retest everything because we've got all this like fallback functionality and blah, blah, blah. Like we've just got all that stuff tested and we're good. So you can kind of see the class, the providers, the options. So there's some other pre-made finders that we can model the pattern after. Looks like we can give it some of its own config data in that configuration right there. Sorry, I stopped because I just don't like to double use the word, but anyway. So yeah, boom. So here we can kind of prompt AI by giving it this example, and we could say, hey, fill in this interface for what we're trying to do. We can even then paste in the Hogumathi side and say, you know, here's the interface for a content system. I might pull this out into a protocol, you know, just to save tokens. It doesn't really need to know the whole implementation necessarily. You just give it the signature, maybe give it some examples of registering your content sources. So it's like, all right, that's what it looks like. Cool. I'll come up with some realistic examples based on that and these, right? So I don't even need a whole HTTP API either. I can just, so I do need to properly import all the content sources and everything. So probably what I would do is bring Probably make a new library that brings in both Wagtail and Hogumathi APIs. And then that is the Finder library. And then later on, Wagtail has... So we'd have to put Hogumathi into the path of Wagtail to start up then. The other option would be to use an HTTP API, which we do already have the groundwork for in Hogumathi. It's just /content.html, no, /content/contentid.html. So we could actually say find embed, make an HTTP request to Hogumathi, and this is what I'm thinking about doing already. And then get the response back. It looks like we'd pass it back some JSON. And then we'd call it just like, well, sorry, no, which we already do. We pass back feed items. So any page, if we're looking at it on localhost, format equals feed.json. So it comes back with this data structure that has data, the query, the next data, so we can paginate using the same pattern that we do, that Twitter does. So we just add pagination token equals whatever to the end to get the next page of data. So this is what the view template is actually rendering on, is the feed item, and that's part of the view model. So the APIs have their own model that get translated onto the view model. And that mapping code is super annoying, so that's code that AI can write. You know, it can write the mapping with tests, no problem. Like, that's perfectly the job of AI. That saves us a half a day for everything, you know? It's so crazy. So I've already set it up so that if you have like two different Hogumathi servers, the feeds section, it can pull RSS feeds and it can pull these Hogumathi native feed item feeds. So if I've got two brands, my main brand and my iSpooge daily brand, my iSpooge daily brand can pull stuff from my main brand and vice versa, which is awesome. And it's not like everywhere that I would like it to be, but in terms of the feed extension, which is a premium extension right now, it's able to do that. So content source, where's the files? Okay. So I do have, you know, just some built-in baseline caching. I've got a bunch of different sources that just illustrate different types of feeds. So I've got /.main, Hogumathi itself, which is a YouTube feed, Homeless Data Project, which is another, when I say feed, it's a playlist in this case. I've got a Mastodon feed for a user. I've got a GitHub feed for a user. And like some of this stuff is just like, here's some example feeds. It doesn't actually even work yet. Breadth first. Like, let's just record the idea literally in the code. So this might be extremely bad practice because now we want to make issues for all these things we've recorded as non-working code. So this is actually something worth writing down, which is remove all non-working code and create issues in tracker. How is that not reasonable? So let's do some manifestation stuff. Let's do it in present tense. we do an audio check at the start of each stream. We remove all non-working code and create issues in so after an iteration we remove. So this is the middle ground. While we're iterating, it's allowed in the code, no problem. Before we ship it, QA phase, whatever, now we're paying back the tech debt. Product managers hate me, but you know what? There's no such thing as there's no such thing as programmers anymore. There's just product managers. At the right level, no, so that's micro. That would be getting into like microservices of developers, where every component on a project is its own product. Probably too much. But yeah, okay, so accept. So I've got basically resolve content source. So my resolve content source would be accept. So accept would call resolve content source. Find embed would then get content for that ID. And something I've really been going back and forth this and that on is multi-ID fetches. Like if you give 100 tweet IDs, you can give that to the API and get back 100 tweets at once. So we do that. What if we want to fetch one of those tweets that we already fetched? You know, so we'd have to kind of know that it's a thing that is a collection of a bunch of individual things of this type. So I was debating on making content system smart about feed item, the data model that we see here, basically the feed items, the users, the media, different stuff like that, so that it is a domain specific content system or not. So what we learn about Wagtail kind of informs that. And hey, welcome if you're just tuning in. I'm going to play this ad again. This is sweet. I came up with this whole creative function this morning in less than 20 minutes, from prompting to get this exact specific perfect guy combined with the video prompt that I fed into, that I fed the model along with the picture of him.
So he built his own tools, logged every scam, every fake, kept coding, kept posting, and now people are rooting for him. Hogumathi, just a guy with a bag. No investors, no team. So he built his own tools, logged every scam, every fake, kept coding, kept posting, and now people are rooting for him. Hogumathi, just a guy with a bag. No investors, no team. So he built his own tools, logged every scam.
So this prompt on the right, it's crazy. I went over the theory of why this works, and I was not recording the audio, unfortunately. I talked for 40 minutes. Crazy. Not just about that, but so I'll do that for my Patreons who go on $100 per month. I gotta plug my own stuff. If you're crying and whining, breaking my flow, sorry, but boom. We got about 300 a month right now. Let's go. If you go $100 per month, you'll get free Hogumathi Premium. If you sign up right now, it's already there. You got to scroll back a couple years, but you'll find a coupon code for 100% off, as well as other coupons for the store here. So yeah, this is the model that I would want back. And so I would translate the feed item into this title. I think it has the title. All right, it does not have title. It has text. So how would we map that? Yeah, text is the title. So I've already mapped it through because this is a YouTube video. It has the user ID. Looks like it's translated because UC as opposed to PL, which we'd see if it were a playlist. UE, I'm not sure. But yeah, so text is already the title. And AI would figure this out pretty easy. Author name, so that would be the channel name. Provider name, Hogumathi. Content system. Type, photo, video, link, rich. That's text, probably markdown, I don't know. Maybe HTML. Thumbnail URL. We've got one for the video, right? So we're almost there. Width, height, we've got some resolution options. I'm not used to speaking with my own voice slightly delayed, so if my speech patterns get weird, that's part of it. So we've got some options: default, high, max res, medium. So that could be a configuration option. Right, however, options, which resolution do we want to use? HTML, and then the actual HTML. So that could be tricky if you're like serving video data, for example. If you want to do local video, you then have to serve HTML that serves a URL, and then you probably catch it with a Django URL handler. There's some documentation about custom route handler stuff. So you'd have iframe or a video with source equals some local URL, then you catch that request, and then you're linked again. You've already got the Hogumathi library and everything. So then you look up that media, find out where it's stored, get a stream to that storage, i.e. open that file. Get a stream to the storage is just more general because network storage is basically as cheap as disk storage as of 10 years ago, you know? And by cheap, I mean latency-wise. You can make a request, do a read, especially for long sequential reads. Especially for long sequential reads. Because there you're going to have rotational storage, which ends up being faster than... okay, 10 years ago, I should hold my tongue because that's several 18-month more iteration technology doublings. Every 3 years, it's 4x, so 12 years would be 4 times 4, almost 16 times 4, 40, whatever that is. So, yeah, we've got these different types of feeds, up to and including our own types of feeds. So here's one where I'm fetching format equals feed.json. So if the user ID starts with Twitter or YouTube, then we do a local Hogumathi content fetch already. And then that fetch could be served from the live API or the archive. The cache thing is just a concept that I was like halfway through implementing. I implemented the saving the cache side, but not the retrieving as a higher priority content system type kind. Receipts, so go into the receipt tracker app and grab the RSS. And you should be familiar with the Hogumathi app from previous videos, but if you're not, real quick, this timeline up here, every feed can be viewed like this. So this is the visual of the feed item. Every feed item that's added to the view, even when we scroll. Okay, we are already scrolled, so I'm going to refresh. This is not doing any remote fetches, so it's fast. So watch, this goes back to December 5th right now. We scroll further back. So now it goes back to January. Even there's a huge gap, whatever, but we fetched like 10 items, whatever the case. And that's the end. So this was the original motivation to build Hogumathi, was if you go on a tweet storm one day, yeah, you'll have a crazy day, but you go back and it's like, oh, okay, this guy barely posts. But I just found him because he went on a tweet storm and it went viral, and now I think he's a guy who does tweet storms. Well, maybe sometimes, a couple times a year, but the rest it's just, you know, this or that. Little detail that I like, I do the low res. So, you know, right back to what we were saying, there's multiple versions. I do low res. If you click once, you get high res. And if you double click, it swaps into a video. So it's efficient. And you can go straight to the double click if you want. So this is our real live stream. Whoa. And it should be set up so that we actually see the chat if chat is enabled. No, that took me to the channel. I want to go to the exact video. Or no, it's the last one. Studying is great. That video error. So who knows what the error is. URL parse is not defined, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, it's pretty cool the way this embed provider works. It's unified. So you get an embed block if you want to do it. I think declaratively, basically, you can, with code, make your blocks that then materialize into the database, like a migration. If you've got other functionality within the app, you can do get embed. You've got this, so all of this is discovered with this Embed Finders stuff. But then, all right, I went through the tech radar a little bit on the website. So what actually is this now? We can edit this. So there's a rich editor with a little DSL. You can type stuff in. One of the things is embed. So I was originally looking into making my own whole Hogumathi block type. But then I come across embed, and that's basically what I want to do, is just embed stuff. So all right, we can embed it. Now I don't know if so the embed match is based on URL. I don't know yet. I actually don't think this would be the case. That you can add more fields to that. Like if I want more than URL. More than URL? I think you'd just specify stuff as command line parameters in the URL. So what would we do here? We would take this feed.json. We would put this in the embed. Boom. Now, we'd have, I've got hogumathi.harlanji.com as a public version. I don't think it has this feed item stuff though. And then for our custom provider, endpoint, you know, Hogumathi whatever /o embed, the URLs that we actually want to match, hogumathi.com/whatever, and then you know, maybe we don't want to look specifically for the feed.json format, you know, so we could add that into the pattern. So you can embed it that way. You could also just type https youtube.com/watch v equals whatever, abc123, boom. I thought it automatically found embeds, but I think there's an option to do it at least. Maybe if I save draft. Okay, it did not automatically find that. So before, when I highlighted the URL and then clicked this, it seemed to have turned it into a URL. Or no, wrong one. So the difference would be, okay, we just piggyback on the existing embed, or we add another button for Hogumathi. So maybe we want to pass, so maybe we base it on the embed extension and we add more than URL if we need it. Hogumathi, you know, whatever. Maybe we just make it friendlier. And it just builds a URL based on a friendlier UI. So insert. Cannot embed for this URL. So that tells us that when you embed, it goes through the embed providers. Even if the URL matches YouTube, it first tries to where's the interface? It first tries to see if it will accept, and it says nope, that's a fake URL. Even though the URL looks valid, the ID is fake. So I will not accept this. That's unacceptable. And then if it is, boom, we actually get the structure back. And then you can imagine once it has the structure, it turns it into, let's just get a real video URL. Will you accept me as I am? Alright, there we go. So then it returns some HTML for that. Cool. Look at that. Look at that. That's awesome. And I can literally just say, here's a video of Wagtail internals as they relate to hope. And then there was a typo. The add extensions add marketing website or is a content management system based on that. The add marketing website oriented functionality builds further functionality related to management of. There it is. I knew there was a typo there. And we will publish this. Boom. We live. All right. So this is a nice thing about having a content management system is you can just post stuff. You don't have to like SSH into anything. You just got a button that says edit. You can just embed stuff. So yeah, I want to be able to embed videos from Hogumathi. And then Hogumathi has its own whole embed system. Well, it's specific to the providers right now. So YouTube. We have the facade. And then we have an embed endpoint that is, don't we? Oh, maybe it's under premium extensions. Don't we have? No, I'm thinking of I alluded to another app that has video playlist functionality. That also has the embed functionality. So I'd have to borrow that. That's an unreleased app. Pretty much unannounced app. You've maybe like seen it on my screen before. Maybe I've showed it a little bit. I've got a ton of apps that I've never talked about before. So, keeping the sauce. And the idea is you go to my website, you tell me what you're thinking. What do you need? I'll give it to you. You tell me what you need. So on customs, maybe you see me talk about something like what you need, and you're like, yo, I need it for this. And maybe you don't even tell me exactly what you need it for. You tell me something fake. Because you want to hold your cards close to your chest too. I get it. So you tell me something fake that you need. And then I give it to you. And then you turn it into what you're really doing. And I do that to AI all the time. Need to know basis. Nothing shady. Just need to know basis. With a little obfuscation sprinkled on top, why not? Don't need people asking questions. Hogumathi, Daily Driver, App Club. So specifically, Patreon is the App Club. There's a whole company, Daily Driver apps, but then there's an App Club. And our appers in the club, it's like a soccer team, a football team. We got some stuff. You just tell us what you want. We will strike it out. We will strike it. Sharing a little love. No job posts yet. This is just something I threw up just to see if anyone was interested. Start as low as minimum wage day labor. So all my offers, I've found platforms that let me offer based on my own system, what'll work with my system well. Ambitious developers, business owners, managers, grow income and competence, build relationships, local community. Boom. You tell me what you want. I'll release some things like Hogumathi. I'll give some education. I'll plug my own stuff. So yeah, we could very easily, just seeing that someone else has a pretty similar thing to the content system already from a different angle, and they load modules automatically in a way that we're doing it manually, it's like, well, we're already pretty much doing that with all of this. If this is enabled, then, it's like we have Git Facade. We have all these modules. Why not just loop over them? Because there's clearly an interface at play here, is there not? So that's how the content system even came to be. It's because I just kept copy and pasting all these different providers. It's like the same thing over and over and over. So it's like we're distilling it, we're boiling it down. I'd love to do these shows earlier in the night, but I've got to just use the space when I have it available. It's a good thing it's a Friday. So the Midwest, the East Coast might get a little bit of it, the real late nighters. I wish I could start this at 5 Pacific. But I'm just going to need more money for that space. And one downside to people in this town knowing about this show is everybody knows what social sabotage is. Everybody knows tall poppy syndrome. Everybody knows haters. Everybody knows people trying to get in your way. So the fact that this is known means people are going to be trying to get in the way, which means there's going to be interruptions, delays. I can't set a fixed schedule for this show. That's not even crying or whining. That is how it is when you are elevating and doing stuff like this. People will try to stop you. I don't want to manifest that reality, though. So that's why the prompting style that I want to discuss of this, it's a present tense, it's already true. So if you pick up on that, instead of what I just said, what I observe in this 3D reality, we're speaking spirit first reality. So, all right, in the physical reality, they're going to try to block me based on my observations already. Of not just present tense, but years and years and years. And it corroborates what other people say. So they keep their channel secret, but I'm in a small town and it's known, all right? The thing is, God protects, and so that's why I can just operate without fear, without, if something is not fruits of the spirits, I can just kind of ignore it. Like if someone doesn't have fruits of the spirit, just kind of ignore it. Whatever they're trying to do, maybe they're redirecting me for my own good, you know? These links are in the description. The product link should be. Yeah. And I'm going to go ahead and just hide this previous stream because there was no audio. Until the very end when I said, oh crap, no audio. The squad of dislikers used to be a lot bigger. Look at this. 4 down. If you look at the analytics, see more, we want to go to likes. If there's an influx of dislikes at the same time, you know that it's a group of people doing it, so you can mentally subtract it. Now, when we build out the YouTube functionality, that's something we could do is say like, you know, these likes are real close together, so don't count them. Or these dislikes. Might not always be true, but metrics, actually we want to look at. Why do we have all of these? Oh, I should have muted, sorry. There we are, dislikes. Look at that. There's one dislike. Yeah, there's no dislikes. Interesting. So right away, we want to zoom in. First 24 hours. It's always going to be there. So that's from 0 to 1. I mean, that's not really sus. Oh, we could do it on the whole channel? No. Doesn't seem like it is changing. I guess because I'm under /video/ whatever. Oh, I see. Add comparison. So this is just criteria for comparison. No. So it's never the user's fault when they're confused by a UI, by the way. So YouTube team or whoever's watching me, the competition, fix your stuff. I don't know what's going on here. Am I adding a comparison? Or am I just updating the view preferences? I expected this would be adding a column here, which it did, so that's great. But what is this? What am I searching for? Control what? like, what does this search do? Is that for the ag comparison? You know, if that's the case, there should be a line. And then, am I comparing the first 24 hours of the comparison, or, you know, this doesn't update that. So am I comparing 24 hours to, see, I'm explaining, you know, the confusion, but it's not my fault. It's the designer's fault. All right. So is there much more to even say about going across the border? So basically we implement this Hogumathi content finder. So we could just do a head request into whatever feed endpoint. Is this a valid ID or whatever? Yes, cool. And then when we actually embed it, we make the request, we get all this info back. We put it into this embed structure, and then it just shows up. And we can put it right onto our page through the UI, like we just did. Right here. Tech Radar. Boom. So now we could just have our Hogumathi content embedded like this. Any tweet, any feed, whatever. Freeform HTML comes back. And like, I'm dragging my feet. I could just ask AI to just write this right now. But I'm just like doing a video. Oh, here's how we figure it out. Ooh. For my, you know, well above average IQ humans who are watching, for the AIs who are watching, unfortunately. But maybe part of this is taking all of our content to a humans only platform where AI isn't scraping it. But then there's going to be humans who will scrape it with their own AI, probably. But you have the access log, so you can see if someone scraped it and shut them off. Or, you know, collect your damages or whatever after the fact. Am I wrong? Doesn't that sound great? If that sounds great, you're one of the 25 people in the world who are watching this who throw me a bone, man. Hire me for minimum wage to do something for you. What do you mean hire you for minimum wage? Oh yeah. So the way I break down my work, depending what your app is, right? You picture us working together. Okay, you're getting some day rates. You're getting like 3G to work together for a day. But here's the thing. We plan out a ton of work. My whole Hogumathi app, whatever, worth of work. Maybe we meet like once a month for 3K for a day. Maybe there's enough demand, everything, that I break my days into half days. I don't know. But I feel like a full day, travel, whatever, 2 for 5K. So you're saving a K by booking 2 days back to back. Yes, back to back. Maybe not back to back if remote and I like you, but if I'm traveling, definitely back to back. Because that's why it's cheaper. And if non-remote, then it's cheaper because you're booking 2 days at once. Less administrative, you know. Cool. Give you a little bit off. 15-20%, whatever. If you need me to run servers for you, generally about $39 a month. If you need access, I need you to be liable for the server. If you don't need access, it's at my discretion. If I think content can go on there, then it's going to be owned by you, managed by me. Hogumathi Premium, $12 a month for early access. Otherwise, it's open source. You get the old stuff. But stable, less support volume is the rationale. The Notes app, that's just an app. It's going to be $30 a year very soon. Get grandfathered in. Delete tweets, it's a little service I made. Carputer 400, it's my hardware. I'll support it. It comes with a cloud instance, which basically means you could run these servers on it, multiple if you want. And my survival guide, and I'm going to offer a course as well, which is the next edition. So this is the book, the prerequisite, Maslow's Layer 1, Surviving. Layer 2, Establishing Security, Doing Business While Hobo. That's going to be a course. I've got some innovative approach to course building that I'm going to try out. I'm doing business while hobo right now. It used to be doing business while homeless. Doing business while hobo. That's a specific kind of homeless person who is hardworking, doesn't accept welfare, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, people might criticize, oh, you don't take welfare. What are you, some kind of right-wing extremist? Nah, man, biblical. I don't need welfare. I'm an able-bodied guy. Why isn't someone just hooking me up with work? Charity is the highest, a job is the highest form of charity, y'all. Clenched fists don't get blessings. Yeah, my fists are clenched because I'm a freaking homeless guy. But that's not how I am. I'm extremely generous. People don't want to acknowledge how generous I am intellectually. Oh, you don't have money? Stay away from me. Meanwhile, look at everything I give away. And then people want to punk me and try to take it and try to ruin it. Get out of here. You're gonna be in a hot place for a while, man. And then I got phone consulting. You can book 24 hours in advance for 1 hour. Not FaceTime, not Zoom, not email, not text messaging. Fine. You know what? 1 hour. No, I'm not representing myself on text messages. I'm representing myself in voice. I'm not representing myself in video or screen share. If you want to screen share, that's probably going to be extra. So I'm going to have to get some kind of accommodation above and beyond whatever the phone call ends up paying me, which is going to be, $50 or something. I'm going to need a dedicated space. I'm going to need it to be making me money. If you want to screen share, I'm going to have to charge you something for that. But if you just want to do a phone call, I can do that from in a car, no problem. Phone service versus high bandwidth data service. Concretely, why do you need more? Space to use a laptop where it's not just super sus. I'm not in a parking lot where people are. It's been so long since I've been using a laptop in my car in a parking lot, but you just don't want to be doing that. If you don't do it, you can imagine it's fine because you've done it a few times, but you haven't sat there day after day for hours, to the point where people recognize you. They go for their run and they remark to their people that Carzao was here. The other cars that are there are drug addict cars. Do you really... Oh, who cares what people think? Just do it. To some extent, yeah, but if you're feeling people's suspicious energy and stuff on you, it's just not going to translate well. I mean, you're just putting a lot of energy into self-regulation that could be directed into being creative and stuff. So working in Starbucks, maybe a little bit better, but especially post-COVID, it's much harder still. So you get into co-working, you start finding weird dynamics there. It'd be nice if it were like Bay Area where there's a ton of co-working options. If there's like one co-working option in town, you're going to find people who are just doing other stuff, just being weird, just not want, just like homeless guys in the library that are just like a little bit out of place. You just find people who are a little bit out of place, possibly other hobos who are cooking their dinner or whatever the case may be. So it's like if you plan to go there and cook your dinner, but someone else is already there cooking their dinner and like using a bunch of resources, using a bunch of towels and stuff, even though you're not going to use a bunch of towels when you cook your dinner, someone else is. And so if you get seen cooking your dinner, they're just going to think, oh, you're using a bunch of stuff and we don't even know you. You're not providing any value to us that we can see because you're a hobo. And we can't see all the live streams and stuff that you're doing. So if you're clicking in for Wagtail, this stuff shouldn't be too far outside. You're like, oh, this isn't strictly programming content. I'm hanging up. Because what is Wagtail? It's for web developers, marketing teams, business and nonprofits. So all this game I'm dropping on you guys here, it shouldn't be too unwelcome. I'm going outside of, this is all studious. We're studious people interested in software for marketing teams, business, nonprofits, web developers. In the age of AI, and studying is so awesome. If you already like studying, you're going to win so big. Because now studying just means you can immediately talk to somebody about what you're studying right away. And you're just building. This is built on Django, which is built on this is built on Wagtail, which is built on Django, which is built on Python, which is built on C, which is built on assembly, which is built on CPU instruction sets, which is built on transistors, which used to be built on tubes, right? So theoretically, we could make some tube-based computer and stack it all up. You do the perfect mapping at the perfect level. Now, would this blow up tubes? Because you'd have like so many bajillion that'd be getting so hot, whatever, maybe. But we got this here now. So on top of what's basically a specifically structured Django site, we can have all this different stuff. And then even on top of this, we can have Rent-Free Media, which is a podcast with Stripe integration. And so you can picture where I'm going. Hogumathi, ends up being part of your marketing system through a little old Django extension, a little old CodeRed CRX extension, Then boom, all these people, they want them to win, man. Offering my value to people in the ways that I'm good at, my biggest values, which it's so hard to express. Like I need this whole intricate system to be able to, because nobody in my life is remotely interested in this stuff. There are people who might be, but like they're already like monopolizing the industry. So my doing this even threatens them because now they got a new competitor in town. Uh-oh. So then it's God's protection. Like, are they going to try to be corrupt and mess with me? Or are they going to be like, may the best man win? Are they going to be a girl power competitor? who's got the whole web of whisper networks where they can just throw some accusation about me in there or dig up the old open table stuff. Boom. Don't keep bringing it up, man. If I don't bring it up, that's exactly what's going to happen. Oh, you're so smart, aren't you? You just know what's going to happen. All right, so I don't say anything, and now people say I'm scamming them. I don't know. Is that going to happen? Why didn't you disclose that? Depends on the people. Maybe people aren't like that. I don't know. Seems like people are like that. God will give me just the people who aren't like that. Maybe. God will give me people who understand that I just mentioned it but aren't generally like that. Cool, man. You got grace. Hey, Jesus, how many times should I forgive my brother? Don't even give him one shot. Put him on blast on social media right when he does something wrong. But Jesus, didn't somebody say something about first talking to him in private? And then, if you refused in private, then bring it public? Oh, you're going to just put him on blast in public first? Jesus would say, So if your inspired action is not in line with Scripture, if you're putting someone on blast in public, does that even warrant a response? Because how can you respond to being put on blast in public if it's already against Scripture to put people on blast in public? You just have to deal with the fact that there's new defamation about you out there. People who already don't like you are going to read you having been put on blast. However you respond, other than with love and kindness, is going to be just spiral, spiral, spiral. There's no winning move. These demonic influences, that's how you know them. They're doing stuff like putting you on blast. Maybe they're just in error and you can correct them. Do you correct them in private or do you correct them in public where they put you on blast? Yeah, man. I told you we were going to study tech, but instead we're getting into the Bible. Haha, tricked you. Oh, man. I did a little study for messaging platforms. Very simple. October. Just took some screenshots from Google Trends, Mastodon, Nostr, Blue Sky. We're early still, guys. 5 years. So XMPP used to be pretty big. Like everyone in tech knew XMPP. So it could be a data source problem. But the interest of XMPP, the green, never that big. Never that big. Whereas somehow the interest for Mastodon in pre-2010, like why is Mastodon getting interest pre-2010? I don't think it even existed then. And if it did, how is it spiking higher than XMPP and I didn't even know about it? So anyway, Blue Sky for relative magnitude. So I think this is probably the first real Mastodon spike. Like 2020. Yeah, I remember because I mentioned before the first Mastodon spike was like 6 months after I offered Mastodon hosting. So I projected the spike. I was not able to capitalize on it because I think that was then, yeah, I'd have to figure out, I'd have to look at the exact date, but so then Blue Sky comes out and spikes to the point where it's like 4 times greater interest in Blue Sky than Mastodon. So I capitalize, so somewhere around here I launched hosting, and then here it spiked, and then here Blue Sky came out. So if I would have been cultivating hosting in this time, I might have got a couple big customers. Most of them probably would have fizzled out. But yeah, I'm still offering it. As well as XMPP. And, obviously I could just spin up Wagtail CMS and just offer that right now. Managed Wagtail CMS hosting. Because I've been using it for a good while. I had another internal iSpooge site based on it, which I don't think I posted any unique content there, but it would still be nice to find it, spin it up. I think it's just in a directory somewhere. It should still start. Probably the only thing that could be wrong is I forgot the password, and I'd have to figure out how to reset the password from the database directly, in the database directly, or through a Wagtail flag. So yeah, hopefully you weren't too misled into this stream. Sorry if you spent a bunch of time on the last stream where I was muted. But yeah, I'm going to tune out. I haven't even gone to chat. I don't even want to know. Just these trolls, the Anons, they just come in at every angle. No, I'm sorry. I don't want to manifest that. I mean, there's a great chat every time. When the chat's great, it's great. That's true and factual. And being IRC gives us a path to total control, total visibility, all logs, everything. This is not our server, so we don't have that. But I do own this channel, so I've got ChanServe, I can kick people out, I can make a password, anything. We get a core group of people while it's open. We'll be vigilant about kicking out the trolls. We'll throw a password on when we go live. Awesome. Yeah, so thanks for joining, and be well.